Hey guys, and welcome to season 2, episode 15 of Couch in the Mind, clearing the mind one couch talk at a time. On today's topic, I've got Darcy Raftos, founder of the Pub Statement, joining me in conversation around the topic of creating memories. How's it going, brother?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good morning.
You said you had a bit of a busy week.
Yeah, this week's been super busy. But had the opportunity to actually start something new, and I've just been learning heaps as I've been going along. So,
And how was that for you, stepping into like an environment where you might not be overly familiar with, and there's a potential of being able to create something different.
look, at the very start when I was going into it, I was just to clarify, I've started going into a more sales position,
Yeah.
and in a lot of people's eyes, sales is like, oh, so you go to people's houses and you like pressure them to buy things. And that's
Mm.
like what I thought I was going to be going into. But I've learned if you remove the whole work side of things and you just go into people's homes and you break down what they really want, and then if you can meet those standards, then you're doing good justice to them. So the job itself has become more fulfilling in
I
itself.
think in jobs like that, if you forget the fact that you're trying to sell something and you just talk to them like I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah, there's a reason why they're talking to me. And if you find out the real reason instead of, you know, having your own agenda, then you can actually help them in their situation a lot better. And they scratch your back, you scratch theirs.
That's it, brother.
Yeah.
That's it. And going on with your other little side job you do, the
Yeah.
pub statement. So I'll briefly go into it in a second, but essentially the reason why I call the topic creating memories is for yourself, for what you do with your events page. That's exactly what you're trying to achieve. So I think that, in everyone's life, we all have all these external negative things that are happening around us, but it's about being able to step outside that bubble and creating happiness and creating memories with other people and finding that inner enjoyment at times when things seem to be too tough, especially when you're going through something and you feel like as if everyone's against you and nothing good has come out of your life. You look back at those great memories you've had and you pick yourself up and go, life isn't really that bad.
Yeah, no, 100%. I started noticing like a lot of my friends, they didn't quite enjoy going out. And it wasn't as much that they didn't have money, because we were going out with
Yeah.
nothing before. Uh, we just stopped going out because the whole experience of itself wasn't as fun. And I think the main thing that we missed was, back in the day, we were doing it because for so long we were told we couldn't, and then we could. So we started going out heaps and taking as much advantage as we could. And then we realized, oh, we could do this anytime. So now we kind of take it for granted, this opportunity of just having a weekend with your mates and going out, because, oh, I could just stay at home and do nothing
Exactly.
and save my money. And it's, in a way, it's good, because back then I know a few of my mates, they might go a little too hard, and we're all partying, so you don't
Mm.
really pick up on those telltale signs that they're struggling with mental health or something like that. And I'm not a professional, and obviously if they were dealing with mental health, I would suggest that they go see a professional to have actual help. But I would be an ear to listen to and a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
But I couldn't give them the help that they really needed. um, but the nightclubs and the bars definitely couldn't either.
But
uh,
at that time, it's more. I find it's more of an excuse. You're like, oh, what I do with my weekend, I'm not feeling good within myself. Let's go hit up old mate and see if he's free. Get on the piss, have a good time. But it's interesting you say about we do these things because a couple of years back when it's all new and fresh to us, we were never being given that opportunity to do it because we weren't allowed to do it.
yeah.
I wonder if, like, in terms of drinking, when we were going through school and we had those house parties where the parents didn't know, and we had to be real nice and sneaky and made sure we had to make sure that the neighbors didn't know, so that everyone's all safe. If we weren't allowed to drink water, until 18 plus, would we
Oh, we'd be
deem it
hydrated.
but it'd be the same sort of
Yeah.
thing, like with alcohol. If we could drink alcohol at age bloody 5, we would do it and would be sick of it.
Well, that's why you know, Aussie and American culture, we have there's alcoholism a lot more prevalent, whereas
Mm,
in Europe, their drinking age is about 16. Before then, um, they may be drinking with their parents at their house, and then at 16 they can go to bars, and then at 18 they can go to clubs. It's a very different culture, and their
100%
view on alcohol is more, you know, they don't,
mature.
yeah, they just don't take advantage of it. They realize it's something you can do to have fun. Whereas for us, it's like a necessary thing to have fun.
Exactly, man.
You go out and it's like, oh, if you're a designated driver, or if you're sober, then it's like, oh, that's what, yeah,
Yeah.
unlucky, and you drew those short
Yeah, poor
straws,
you.
or even how it is for some people. Like, I don't drink when I do my pub crawls, and it's because the whole time I'm doing it, for one, I may have like anywhere from 50 to 150 people that I feel solely responsible, because I've invited them all to come to my event, and they've come willingly with their friends, but I want them to have a safe and good night.
Yeah,
And in order to do that,
you got to be sober.
there tends to be a sense of responsibility that needs to be there, which is why I like having a good age differential. I have 50-year-olds with 20-year-olds, but they're all having an awesome time. But I
Mm.
find the 50-year-olds have fun because they see the young people and they're like, oh, I feel young again.
They want a mirror image.
Yeah. And then the 20-year-olds will see the 50-year-olds and they'll go, oh, we can't be shit faced. That's dad over there. Like,
Yeah.
but they'll come up and talk to each other because, after 3 beers, you want to talk.
And going on, because you're saying that you run this event. We haven't really gone into detail with regards to what that is exactly. You're saying that
Yeah.
it's like a pub crawl. I mean, I met you on one of the pub crawls. It was, I don't know
Yeah.
if all your
Probably
pub
should
crawl,
explain to
yeah,
your
I don't
viewers
know
or listeners.
if all the pub crawls are Hawaiian themed, but the one I went on, I was wearing the Hawaiian shirt. We were
Yeah.
getting, drinks as we were going along in Fortitude Valley. Do you mind explaining to the
Yeah.
listeners exactly what that is and what drove you to starting up this
Yeah.
events page?
Yeah. So back in 2019, in July, I went overseas, Southeast Asia. I did Japan, then Vietnam, Cambodia, Singapore, Malaysia.
What the hell,
Um,
mate? You're a seasoned traveler.
yeah, not so much, traveling. Uh, I did about 2 months, but it was so much fun. And I went to some pub crawls while I was there, and they were the best way to meet a bunch of people. I didn't meet too many locals because the pub crawls were more tourist based, but the experience itself, I got to go to 4 different places, got cheap drinks. I just had fun. I didn't get hammered um, as much because I was just like, I'd get a drink and then I'd be talking to somebody and then I'd just be
Mm,
meeting another person, and we'd all be a part of this one group. By the end of it, we were like a family. The club was packed, but I knew so many people and I loved the feeling. It felt like I was back in Brisbane, because in Brisbane there's not a club I can go to
you
where
can't talk to someone.
I don't feel
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I'll see somebody from school or primary school, or a mate that I played footy with,
Yeah.
and when I came back to Brisbane, I was like, oh, I really want to go to one that's in Brisbane, and there wasn't one in Brisbane. And I was like, well, how hard could it be? So I messaged some of the bars that I go to in the valley, and I talked to Chad St. James for Rick's. Shout out Chad. He helped me out so much. He did Rick's, RG's, and Marquee. I did my first pub crawl. I think it was the 3rd of October or 19th of November. I can't
Yep.
remember, but it was amazing. I did free entry, and then on the last uh, day, I did paid entry at $20 a head, and I had about 100 people signed up to be going, and then about 80 people actually showed up. And when I got there, I was like overwhelmed by the response.
Mm.
And then I was just winging it the whole way, just kind of so I went to like 4 pub crawls when I was overseas. So I had like 4 people to mirror. Um, and then all I did was just copy what they did. I was just, calling out, "Hey, everyone, we're going to the next place." So I was walking over to people to get in photos and asking them if they're having a good time. If there was anyone who was on their own, I would introduce them to another group,
Mm.
because then they would feel like they're included.
They're part of it.
Yeah. And then, by the end of the whole night, I had made some brand new friends, um, some potential future clients who still go to my pub crawls. And it was just really fun. So I did a few more, and then COVID hit. But it didn't affect me as much because, I understood all the bars and clubs uh, would be struggling heaps. So
Mm.
I just eased off the pedal and let that blow over. And when it came back with the, you know, dancing and stuff, I did the Hawaiian t-shirt pub crawl. Huge response. And again, I did another one. And I've done 2 Hawaiian t-shirts because they're the most popular. But I'll do other events. I'll do non-themed ones and all of that. But they're just more fun to just run for myself. And I get my friends involved, when they're available.
Yep.
But essentially that's it.
No, that's great, man. To
Yeah.
to have experienced it yourself when going overseas, noticing that you can meet so many people, whilst not being absolutely shit faced.
Yeah.
You're in an environment where you can, if you can handle your drinks, have a good time, you can meet so many new people and make so many new friends and create new memories, and it's an awesome thing you're doing, man. But what I'm going to say to you now is, with creating events, how do you think it has like a positive impact on people's mental state, especially if they've got all these external negative things happening, along the sidelines? Why do you think it's essential for people to kind of get out, get out of that, maybe even if it is getting out of their comfort zone and going on these pub crawls, or going to social events and just having fun?
Yeah, well, I think it is essentially that getting out of the comfort zone for a lot of people. Like I said, when school finished and, we had schoolies, and then after that, you had probably a year of partying. Everyone kind of went back into a kind of shell of like comfort. So they wouldn't want to go out and stuff because, all the young people go out and all that. And
Mm.
then what these pub crawls kind of do is they make an event of it. So now you bring your mates, and we're actually checking out places you wouldn't be used to going to. Because I know for a fact, um, almost all of my mates, we could count the bars and clubs that we go to on your hand. They don't go into any others.
It's usually what you're comfortable going
Yes,
to. Yeah.
yeah. And the main feedback I've gotten, from my mates specifically, is I didn't know that pub was so good.
Yeah.
We went to Empire once, and it was live music, and they had this awesome bar. The girls at the bar were doing the drinks. They were like really, like, they were rock stars at it, and everyone just had such a good time. My friends came up, why don't we go to Empire more often? And I was like, we could. Why don't
Why
we?
don't we? Yeah.
But it doesn't come in your head until you kind of do an event. Um, but ever since then, we've got that memory. We've got that experience of going to that
Mm.
event, and that's fulfilling in itself for me. And you know, just having people that can all come together and be in a safe environment, is necessary as well, because a lot of people don't go out because it can be dangerous.
Mm.
Um, especially for girls, in a girl group. Uh, it it upsets me, to be honest, but it's a reality that a lot of my friends may not be able to go out on their own, or even with just another friend, because
There's
there's
that unfortunate level of vulnerability.
yeah, it's just the unknown. um but the extremities of the unknown are too severe to take a risk on.
Yeah.
uh Whereas as a bloke, you could pass out in a gutter, and you know worst case scenario, somebody you know kicks you.
Yeah.
you know Very different story. And in a pub crawl, everyone's got the wristbands. Everyone's looking out for each other. You know, I might tell everyone we're going to another pub. I love people saying, "Oh, there's somebody in the bathroom," but that I know for a fact that the person that comes out of that bathroom wasn't from their group. They're just looking
Mm.
out for them because they're part of the group and they don't
That's
want them
great,
to
man.
miss out.
That's what it's all about,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, it's funny when you're not in that sort of environment. It's so easy. Even the times you might even be going out with people, and you might be familiar with someone who you come cross paths with, but you don't really know them truly. Like you kind of cross paths with them, whether it be at school or a mate of a mate, and then you're kind of wandering off with your friends, and they're left to their own demise. There's so many times where I've been in that sort of place where you end up having to leave someone because you don't know where they are.
yeah,
When you're in an environment where everyone's kind of waiting up for everyone rather than you being the only one putting your hand up and saying, "Come on, let's do the right thing," and then you get left behind. If everyone's on the excuse me, if everyone's on the same page, it just creates that.
it creates kind of like a tribe, like, you know, where we're all together
Mm,
in this event. This We're all together making these memories. Every single one of us are going to have these photos for the rest of our lives. That's why I like taking the photos mostly,
yeah.
because they do promote that the night's fun. But one of the main things I like about taking photos is, you know, I used to be shy about photos, to be honest. Not because I thought photos captured the soul and then trapped it in a
Mm.
picture, but I just didn't didn't like how I looked, or
Was
you
it
know,
like a? Was it in terms of you had a bit lacking of confidence in terms of your like body image?
in a sense, it was a lot. I would say it was a lot more. I had this idea of who I am, and if the picture didn't exactly do what I thought I was,
You weren't happy with it.
then I wouldn't be happy with it, and I didn't want it out there because that's not who I think I am.
Mm,
But I eventually matured to the reasoning that who I am is up to me,
mm,
and who I am to other people is up to them.
mm,
And there is only so much you can do. But once you meet somebody, you know, they have a perspective on you, and you know your experiences with them. So the more you meet somebody for the first time, you get an idea of who they are. The more and more you meet them, you get more of an idea of who they are. But the only information that you get is the information you get from them.
mm.
So I could be with you right now, and this is who you think I am.
Yeah, but you might be putting on the front for the podcast. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Yeah,
yeah. And so when a photo gets taken, that's who you are from the photo's perspective, the camera's
exactly,
perspective.
man.
So when you see it, just know that's who you are. That's your memory. That's what's been taken there. But after that photo's been taken, you still have control of who you are. And,
Mm.
you know, that's a bit, we went on a big
No,
tangent
I know,
there,
I know
but
exactly what you're saying. Like it's so easy to be a people pleaser, and you want everyone to be happy with who you are as a person, but unfortunately you just can't do that. And the only person you should be trying to win over is yourself. If you're happy with who you are truly, and you don't really care about how other people see you and portray you, as long as you're not crossing any boundaries or anything, then that doesn't matter, man. But
yeah,
I guess like if in terms of the whole, the saga of what I'm talking about in terms of, getting into these events and creating and finding happiness when, times may be getting tough, or using it as a coping mechanism. Was it something that you lent toward when you were potentially struggling with certain things?
yeah, 100%. You know, I I used to go out, um, and I'd be conscious of it. That's another thing. I know a lot of people aren't conscious of it, but I would actually be aware that I'm going out because I'm stressed out, and I would be like, come on, boys, like, come on, girls, let's get a group, let's go out, let's have fun, let's do this. But I wouldn't tell them, you
Mm,
know, I had a bad week or anything like that. I'd keep it to myself, and I just want to have a good time. Um, that's changed a lot now. I would actually go out and then I'd sit them down. We'd sit down, we'd grab their drinks, and I'd be like, "Man, I had a shit week,"
yeah,
and I'd talk about it.
that's good, man.
Um, and I think one of the main things, you know, it comes down, like, in my view, like, the psychology of, when you're nervous and if you're doing a presentation, or you're speaking out and you're nervous, you're shaking. If you actually acknowledge it, if you say, "Oh, mind my shaking, I'm super nervous,"
Mm,
then you're not the only person that is aware that you're nervous. Now everyone else is aware that you're nervous, and you'd think that'd be worse, but it's not. It's never worse, because now you don't have to front that you're not nervous, because everyone else acknowledges the shaking is not who you are, it's the nerves.
yeah,
So when I'd go out and I'm having a good time, you know, or I don't have to fake that I'm having a good time, or I don't have to fake that I'm not having a good time, because I've acknowledged how I'm feeling to my friends,
exactly, man.
but it has to be in a safe environment,
Yeah.
you know.
And it also comes back to the idea of, is it if you're feeling uncomfortable talking about your feelings and what you may be going through, is it just because of that, or is it because you're surrounding yourself with people that aren't capable of taking what you have to say, or they don't give a shit about what you have to say as
Oh
well?
man, that's a huge issue for a lot of people. And uh, I'm the person on the other end of it. I'm usually the person that people feel comfortable to talk to about
Yeah,
that stuff, but I know they may have closer friends than I am to them, that they can't talk to them about it. And when they tell me these, it like breaks my heart, because it's you know as a best friend, uh, you always want to be able to speak out and talk to them honestly.
yeah,
But I understand a lot of best friends, it's the way the friendship evolved. It's more, this person is there for me to have a good time. And sometimes I personally believe that some friendships aren't there for everything. They're
mm,
specifically good for one thing,
yes,
but not as good for the other thing. It's kind of like your two parents, both of them may not be perfect at everything, but one parent may be really good at the emotional stuff and the other parent really good at the logical stuff.
yeah, man.
And friendships are the same thing, I
That's it.
believe.
That's it. We're all built differently.
Exactly.
We're not wired the same, and we have certain attributes that we're better at doing than others. And you might have friends that you see them more often going out, and then if you go and sit down and have those bigger and better conversations with them, they just can't handle
They
it.
close up and freak
Versus,
out. Yeah.
exactly, man. Versus, other mates that may have gone through a few things, so they've got that understanding, and they're a bit more affectionate, and they like to talk about emotions and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Those people that like to go out all the time, they're sometimes they can be just the best escape artists,
Mm,
and they're the people you might hit up if you want to have a night to forget about everything and
yeah,
not talk about anything. You
that's
just
it.
you just have a night where don't worry about it. And even if you start talking to them about it, you may have gone out with them specifically because you've been talking about it this for so long, and you just need time to just get it out of your brain. And these people are perfect, because you go out with them, you start talking about the negative stuff, and then they go, stop, we're having a good time. And they're not doing that in a bad way. That's their loving way, that's their affectionate way of saying, we're here to have a good time. you
Don't
have
worry about it.
you
Yeah,
have you have things that are struggling. There's moments where you need to deal with that, but this is the moment where you need to create the good time, because your whole week has been bad, and that's not okay for me as a friend. I need you to be with me, and I'm going to make it a good time. But those people, they're not blocking you from talking out. They're actually listening, and what they know, because they're those people, is they're the more seasoned, more experienced ones at having a bad week and then going, you know what, I need to put this in a drawer and have a good time so I can come back, open the drawer up, and deal with it a lot better, because my mind is not handling it well.
yeah. For them, that's their coping strategy.
Yeah.
Pretty much what you said. You kind of hit the nail on it, in that they may or may not have gone through things before as well, and they're so comfortable with themselves, and with having a bad week, that they're able to throw all that negativity in a closed drawer and lock it away, and just have a really good weekend.
Yeah. But
But
the key thing is, be aware that there's friends that will lock it away and throw away the key. Those are the friends you have to be conscious of, because
Mm.
the people that throw away the key, they don't actually go back and deal with it.
Yeah, they don't unlock
No,
the bloody drawer.
it needs to be the people that will lock the key, give it to somebody who will give it back to them, go out, have a good time, come back, and the person or thing that they locked it away for will be responsible. So the thing may be, they need some Grey's Anatomy time. That unlocks it again.
Yeah.
They need to ground themselves back into the fact that then they are struggling. They need to cope with it. I really believe that some people, uh, they get when they're going through some really hard times, they think that's all it is. That's all I've got. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Um, and it's important to be able to, put it under the pillow, step away from the room, change your environment, take a breath, and realize that today's a beautiful day. Go to the beach, put your feet in the water, clear your mind, and have a good time. Because it's so important to just ex- look at life objectively and realize that everything you're dealing with can be resolved, and you can't resolve it at the time that you're dealing with it.
Mm.
If you're It's kind of like the leaking tap. um you know Say the kitchen's flooding,
Mm.
the tap is bursted, and a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll grab the bucket, they start pouring out the window, pouring out the window, but the tap is busted. They need to stop, take a break. They need to fix that leak first, because all they're doing is taking water out when water is being poured back in.
Mm.
They need to take a break, walk out, turn off the water so the tap's not pushing out any more water, and then actually look at it and go, how do I get this
Yeah.
water out
No,
the fastest way?
you're right, man. Like, we all go through different things at different stages in our life, and some things worse than others. But sometimes it's actually about exactly what you said, getting out of that environment, having a bit of a breather, whether or not it is creating new memories, and finding that happiness again, and then coming back to it again, and maybe thinking of it in a different sort of perspective, or talking to someone about it, and then finding a resolution from it.
Yeah.
I guess maybe in summary, for yourself, in terms of what you're doing, in terms of creating and finding that happiness with the events page, and stepping outside your comfort zone. For people tuning in, what do you think is probably the best way to be able to do that? Because it's easy for you to say, because you've found that light at the end of the tunnel, and you're doing amazingly well with your page, and you've set yourself up, for the moment, and it seems to be pretty going pretty well toward the future. But to be able to find that light at the end of the tunnel, in terms of finding your inner happiness, and finding something, or a hobby, or going to an event, or something like that, that will drive you to find your positivity again, where would you start?
um I like Start with nature. Start with thinking about what it is that is natural to you, what draws you in. Think back, take a moment and think, what when your friend needs you most, what do? What's your first instinct? you know do you straight away hug them,
Mm.
don't talk? Do you straight away look for the solution, find the reason? And what is your nature? And then follow that in your direction, because my nature is to look after people and to talk. I like
Yeah,
I like talking. Um,
that's your passion, bro.
yeah. So when I started the pub crawls, I might do it my way, but if somebody else did a pub crawl, they would do it theirs.
Mm.
So if you're struggling to find happiness in yourself, take a moment to actually think, am I doing day to day things that are natural to me, things that are a part of my nature? Are you the type to sit down all day? If you're not, discuss that. if you have an opportunity, you know, I believe people in nature are good. And if you're struggling at work, or if you're struggling at school studying, talk to somebody and be honest, acknowledge it. Because if they shut you down, that is their nature. And
Mm,
if it's not, then they're going against it as well. So if they're going against it, then they're struggling just as much as you are. But if it's their nature to shut it down, then you need to go to somebody else whose nature is to help. And if you're still stuck in that situation, there's always professional help out there, and there's always friends, family, especially the people that you wouldn't realize, that person you sat next to in grade 8 in maths class. If you got them on Facebook, send them a message. If you don't know who to talk to, you'd be very surprised at who you can talk to. My best friend hit me up after a really hard breakup, and me and him never talked in high school. He just hit me up, and I was in a mood to talk, and I listened. He came over, we drank, we had just a good time. We didn't get hammered. We just, you know, sat down and talked. We walked down to the petrol station, got some pods. He smashed the whole pack before he even got back. And from then on, I was like, this guy's all right. And, he lived with me for a year and a half. And we're still good friends now, and that's the beauty of life. You don't know what's coming, in the future. So just
exactly.
be be in tune with what's your natural instinct. What's something that feels smooth, feels comfortable with you, and don't forget that innately we're all good.
That's it, bro. Thank you so much, bro. That was awesome
Thanks.
for what you had to share, and what you're doing in the world that we live in, and creating that positivity and creating memories for people that really need them,
Yeah,
really need something else to focus on. So I thank you for joining me on the couch today, brother.
no worries. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, bro. Well, this has been season 2, episode 15 of Couch in the Mind, clearing the mind one couch talk at a time. And on today's episode, I had Darcy Raftos joining me in conversation revolving around the topic of creating memories. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll leave Darcy's details in a link below if you want to check out one of his events. I'll probably be there. I'll be chopping down some what is it, jelly shots?
Jelly shots, yeah, the jelly shots and the platters of food. The watermelon, you missed out on the watermelon. I
Right.
usually do watermelon for the
Next time. I'll
yeah,
be there for it
yeah,
next time,
yeah.
bro. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.